are starting with impressions from the first episode.
I personally was really immersed by it. The world just seemed really rich, and I was completely hooked by it. I felt it established everyone's motives very well. I got a good sense of who they were.
It's the first time I got exposed to a 40-minute exposition-filled type of show, and I could barely tell what's really going on.
There's a lot of problems with the script, especially with how exposition is done. For example, the show starts with two characters which have been married for 9 years, explain to each other their purposes as if, they just met. There's more first exposition when the Grey Lords are explained to Kirei and all that stuff, and the walking around in circles on opposite sides around him.
Do you even circle? Because they were circling a lot. It was a lot of exposition, understandably, it was necessary because there's a lot of characters and they were kind of getting some of the motivations and stuff, but it felt like you were getting punished for not listening to every single line of dialogue, and despite some of the characters being interesting, it just didn't really grab me in at all. And I feel like their entire purpose was just to, have this exposition, and then at the end, oh my god, they're summoning Saber, oh my god, hype, hype, hype.
Goes on for a bit too long. You're not going to care about every character shown here, and it feels kind of awkward to show every part of the cast in the first episode. They could have just been introduced gradually as their roles actually became relevant. They just could have gone through the thing a lot better than they actually did.
Left me bored out of my damn skull. I didn't care about any of the characters, any of the story. I didn't care about anything by the end of it, and it really upset me that this particular show decided to take 40 minutes to do things that shows like Baccano did with similar amount of characters in half the time, and it's just upsetting that they couldn't pull it off and left me incredibly bored.
The concept of King Arthur being a girl was interesting to me. History was written to show that King Arthur was a boy because whatever excuse they give, but that was an interesting concept.
This is the same thing with Iskander being big. Not everything is written in the history is exactly how it is. It's a pretty good idea.
Yes.
It's also an excuse to have fan service, There is a sex scene with her. Try to do that if he was male.
To be honest, if anything, she's more of a plot convenience or a tool than anything. She doesn't make her own decisions. Of all the characters in this show, she's the only hero who gets saved by other heroes, and it happens in every single fight except for the last fight. Exactly.
She's a plot device, used to be the damsel in distress, the fan service for the fans, but she's always there to win when she needs to because she has the most powerful attack.
I agree, and I thought it was a really strong move to make King Arthur into a woman, and then they completely wasted it. And I mean, she's clearly supposed to be the thing you're looking at throughout the entire intro. For the most part, she's the big lead at the end of the first episode. She is, for all intents and purposes, the main character, even though I know it's Kritsugo. She's the main character, but she does nothing, and it's pathetic.
It's really focused on everybody. You can see a lot of stuff with the Rider and the Waver happening as well, so you can't count only Saber as the main character. Plus, Saber didn't use a lot of moves. Concealing her identity was the first priority in the beginning. Throughout the fights, she doesn't use any of her abilities, even the wind. It's not the only finisher move she has is that Excalibur.
Saber, just like Shiro, are supposed to be the generic characters, okay? They're supposed to be as plain and indecisive as possible, so they can be the middle point. That's always what they're doing with shonen characters when they have to be protagonists. Everybody else are more extreme in their own ideologies. The main ones, which happens to be Shiro and Saber, are deliberately made to be indecisive, simple, blunt, and all that stuff. So, self-insert and generic fan service and fan fiction, whatever. Episode 2.
It introduces the relationships between the servants and the masters. Waver has his trouble with a Rider. Gilgamesh and his master have their thing going on of one being just cold and the other whatever.
Rider is a really cool, funny, and interesting character. I like him a lot. Uryu, Kester's master, has fun doing some killings in some random house. And during that, you get to know him by watching a TV in that house, speaking about his crimes. So this is a really good done exposition. I like a lot Castor's humor. He lets a kid run away, give him hope that he might escape, and then makes a monster, just catch him and kill him. It was fun.
The second episode was definitely a step up from the first episode. We got to see some clear motivations from the characters, as well as we got to see the potential maturity that would be set up for the whole entire show. We got introduced to the best character writer and the potential plot device caster, and I think the second episode did a good job at handling the maturity.
It still had exposition, but what it did is what you're supposed to do in writing. It showed instead of telling. It showed you the sadism in Castor and Ryunosuke. It showed you Ryder's personality, not by what he said, but by how he said it and how he carried himself and his demeanor overall. Also introduced Waver, who is, in my opinion, made almost entirely a bitch. So basically, it was like kind of a half and half, but it did do a better job than the first episode, and it left me interested, and it's the reason I continued watching.
Episode 3.
This episode didn't show us much, but one of the relationships I thought it was actually interesting was the relationship of Maya and Kiritsugu. Maya was a motivation for Kiritsugu. I don't think that Maya really cared for Kiritsugu. I know it's often shown, but I don't think that she deeply cares for him. It's more like a partner relationship.
Assassin's dead. But no, wait, he's several different people! Assassin's one of my least favorite characters in the show for a good reason. He's useless and stupid.
We were just being trolled. Assassin is still alive. That part accounted for absolutely nothing.
Assassin is that character that helps Urobuchi give us the top-down view.
Well, Assassin never does anything. He's just there.
Yeah, well, he's there for information.
He's the eyes of the viewer.
Exactly, the top-down view. That's what I
Yes,
said.
that was the whole plan of those guys, because they're the most overpowered as fuck, and this guy is watching, so he doesn't get countered by some random fucking Excalibur shit. That's
Assassin is Big Brother.
That was the point.
He's always watching you.
And my main gripe with this whole exposition is that it's incredibly disjointed. You just jump from one scene to another. There's nothing to tie them in because each character is more or less in his own little corner. They're doing stuff, plotting like nothing really important comes out of it until the end of the episode when we actually get our first fight.
It was padding, although I did like what they did with Kiritsugu and Maya because it felt like they were trying to humanize the characters, which after an hour of watching the show and not getting any characters I could relate to or feel were human was a really nice thing that I could finally attach to. And like I said, it was just padding that led up to the end. They didn't show us the fight. They saved it for the next episode. I felt like they could have showed us the fight in this episode, but they didn't want to. They wanted to give us blue balls at the end. I'm done.
Episodes 4 and 5.
Well, something finally happens, and I'm just highly disappointed because it's a skirmish that happens, but there's no payoff in the end. And that's all what Season 1 does. It was pointless, and plus the exposition was too damn long. Just talking and talking and talking, and it just got to the point where, just fight already, just fucking fight! They only utilize their animation when there's a fight. Everything else is just a bunch of bobbing heads. It is nothing interesting on screen at all.
They exchange like 3 blows and then they start talking for 3 minutes. It's not meaningful talk, okay? It's just posturing. The dialogue is really stupid as well. I'll beat you. Well, not if I beat you first. Oh, I am the king of kings. I am the leader of the leaders. I am the rider of the riders and all that kind of shit. It's really silly. I was still expecting a show to be interesting and, a bit more subtle. And then after every single fight, there is no conclusion other than, there needs to be more fighting.
This is the episode where the series goes full shonen. We exchange a few blows and they're like, oh, we have to explain to the audience what happened. If you're not distracted by the pretty colors, it kind of goes down really fast.
This is the decline of Saber. This is the decline of the most hyped hero, whether or not anybody else thinks she's the most hyped. The fact of the matter is that every hero that has been mentioned here, the one that's probably been heard of the most, is King Arthur. Maybe Alexander, but mostly King Arthur. So before the show even starts, she's already the most hyped hero. So she goes into this fight and gets countered pretty much at every single turn, then Ryder has to come in and save her. And that for me just went to show already, they don't respect this character. She's not going to be proving to do anything at all whatsoever or be reliable at all in this series. And it was a huge letdown, and it was kind of the beginning of the decline already for me, the end.
It handicapped Saber, which kind of lost the whole point of the importance of her being a strong female character. That's out of the park, because that doesn't matter anymore. That was kind of shitty.
Episode 6.
I love Castor because he's so much of a ham. But the fact that they gave him this whole obsession and this whole Jeanne d'Arc subplot, that really ruins him. There were better ways to describe this character than just giving him an obsession for Saber.
Turns out to not be that much of a character because he has too little development. We just know that he's kind of crazy.
Finding out that Castor was a yandere was kind of shocking. Other than that, the whole episode just felt like it's another filler for the next episode.
At the very end, the church is like, okay, we'll hand out command seals to whoever assassinated, Castor. It seems like the church can do what they want at will, and there's a lack of explanation of how much actual power the church has within the survival games. And the survival game actually feels way too loose, with just loose rules that can seem like they could be bent at will by the church. And I thought it was a bullshit excuse to open up a side plot that will ultimately have no effect on the main plot whatsoever.
Really, it was just a plot convenience that led to all of the characters ganging up on Castor so that they could all have one big fight against one unified bad guy, and it just didn't really make a lot of sense. It opened more questions than it answered, and that's really, really frustrating for me. I mean, yeah, they tried to answer it, but it all felt really, really forced.
The reason why the church can hand around wishes just like that is for the simple fact that the church can bend the rules any way it likes. And in fact, this whole death tournament is rigged. This is not a fair death tournament. Tokiomi was supposed to win, and he was giving the most powerful heroic spirit of them all.
It's mostly because Church thought that Tokiomi is like a surefire variant. They know his wish, and they know he won't go crazy with it, doing crazy stuff. Of course, the judge does whatever the fuck he wants. There are no written rules.
The only reason this show lasted 24 episodes is because freaking Gilgamesh is not just killing everyone since episode 1.
In some cases, by some scenario, like Avalon gets out of her, she gets overpowered as fuck. So it's kind of smart, don't jump in like an idiot. Even if you got the strongest servant, if others, 3 of people join up to take out the strongest, it's not a good idea,
If he drew all his cards out right at that first little meeting in episode 5 or whatever, then everyone would have been like, oh shit, we gotta take this guy out because he's gonna mess us all up.
Yeah.
So that's why he didn't.
He already shows his trump card when all 4 other servants are present and nobody cares.
Yeah.
His trump card was Aya, which he didn't use until episode 22.
That's the only trump.
I disagree. Gilgamesh is completely blinded by his arrogance. He would never think that. He would just assume he's the best of them all, and he would just kill them outright since the beginning. He would just say, I'm the strongest of you all, and he would just use his trump card and kill everybody, regardless of not being truly the strongest.
The script for the show is really poor. You got Sola Ui, the wife of Kenneth, and she's explaining to him how he made a special contract with his servant, as if he wouldn't know. Really jarring for me. Also, this episode had some pretentious stuff, the talk between Kirei and Gilgamesh. It's kind of out of context and it lacks any kind of subtlety. They both become just Durabuchi mouthpieces.
The dialogue at the end of the episode between Kirei and our Mr. Perfect was really just there for convenience sake to follow in another bullshit philosophy that the whole show is trying to give out.
The issue with that dialogue is that if you do not know about Kirei's backstory, then a lot of this is going to seem forced.
Oh, you can only get this if you read the VN, but that's not a solid argument, in my opinion.
I can excuse that if the VN actually came first. You are going to assume that most people are going to watch this show having either played the visual novel or watching the original. So it's somewhat excusable.
Episodes 7 and 8.
Well, episode 7 showcases Saber actually getting tentacle raped by Castor. Saber is just merely an object being tossed around back and forth, only to be saved by a male character in the end. It's kind of like Asuna always being saved by Kirito all the damn time. She was introduced as a badass, and then she's just always saved by the lead male protagonist.
She broke out of the tentacles herself, Corey.
Yeah.
They would have both
If he had
gotten
really
fucked.
wanted to, though, that wouldn't have happened because it took all the heroes to beat him in the end when he was super tentacle rape monsters. I mean, yeah, she might have broken out in that one instance, but in the end, it really doesn't matter because if he didn't want her to break out, or if he didn't have other better shit to go stare at with his creepy ass eyes, he could have done whatever the fuck he wanted to.
Castor is being edgy, and this time they did ruin Castor. At first he was like some psychotic dude doing crazy stuff and having really black humor, and now he's just some retarded, attention-craving little bitch. He's really annoying at this point. They just ruined him.
It starts out trying to be ambiguous with the characters, whether each character is good or evil, but now we really see that Castor is becoming the villain that everybody's trying to go up against.
They're going to all have to go up against Castor. The next episode's going to be like, hey, Avengers Assemble against Creepy Eyes Rape Face, and that's it. And then pretty much like, look at this new plot device. Ooh, isn't he creepy?
He's not a plot device, he's entertainment device.
Yeah, he's like...
Like the comic, it really is.
Yeah, basically, every heroic spirit represents an ideology. His ideology is hedonism. And the problem with him is that he doesn't interact with other spirits. He's always isolated. And the first moment he's supposed to interact with them, they all gang up against him. That's the problem with him.
He's the shedding then.
Castor had trapped Saber with his tentacles, and then Lancer, instead of just attacking Castor and killing him on the spot, he frees Saber, thus missing the chance to kill him. And he's also supposed to be like, you know, the guy who's always about honor and fair fight and all that shit. But then there are two heroic spirits versus one. What's so fair about that?
Well, that's because Castor already is being dishonorable and taking hostages.
Chivalry doesn't work when you're fighting with tentacles.
Yeah.
And you know, the best part is that he does attack him, he doesn't hit Castor, he hits his book, suppose because if he loses his book he's defenseless, and he assumes this way he will be defenseless when his orders was to kill him, but whatever, and then they just stand still as he's gloating and teleporting away. They had like 20 seconds of time period until the fucking book regenerates.
Oh, come on, like...
Why not just go for his head?
I know! Orders were to kill him, why didn't you just kill him?
But I think
His
that
head
was
is
in the
so
next
cute,
episode.
look at the eyes. How can you hit him in there? He's like a puppy.
The church is kind of pretentious at this point because they can bend the rules any way they like, but because Castor is, you know, killing innocent people and all that stuff, and he's breaking the rules, oh, we have to kill that one, that's not totally pretentious right now at all, right? And I felt like the church in Fate Zero is the same thing like Sybil in Psychopaths. They bend the rules any way they like, and they say, if I do it, I'm okay, but if somebody else is doing it, oh, fuck you, let's just kill him off. So everything becomes kind of fatalistic. There is no actual free will. The characters are just plot devices because, you know, there is always an overseer. Anything they do is just because the overseer lets them do it. But they can bend the rules any way they like, so pretentious much. It's all fine as long as Tokiyomi is the one who wins.
That was the point. It was nihilism.
Holy shit, this is the worst show that does nihilism.
Also, did the battle between Kiritsugu and Kenneth need to last that long? He spent like how many hours playing cat and mouse in that house where he could easily been killed. He had the time magic like Homura from Madoka Magica. He could freeze time and just stab him to death.
Like Tom and Jerry, where Tom always loses. It just so one-sided.
The Adventures of a Man and His Ball would have been just a lot easier if he, instead of going for the shoulder, he would have just shot his head. But no, we have to have exposition. We need to know about the bullets, and we need to make Kaneth's life completely miserable just because we're nihilistic.
Irie and Maya get saved by plot convenience. You know, they get last minute saved.
I don't understand why would he not kill Maya. I can understand them not killing Giri because she's like the vessel for the Holy Grail, but not killing Maya is pretty meh.
Plus healing magic.
Yeah, and healing magic. When a show pulls bullshit like this, you kind of stop caring because, you know, anything can happen and anything loses any kind of value at this point.
Good when you go into the show not caring anyway.
But I'm not watching shows to not care. Holy shit, I want to care. I want to have fun.
You should try it.
Nobody fucking dies. Why didn't Kirei confirm he killed Homunculi? Why the fuck are they so afraid of Kirei? Lancer saves his arrogant plot device master and flees, but before that, he takes his time to rant about honor and other shit. Very much dull and unbearable.
Damn, Lancer really loves to let his targets escape. I mean, first he lets Castor escape and now he lets Kiritsugu escape too? Episode 9.
We have a lot of nihilism in this episode. Every bit with Kaneth, the fact that he didn't die was just there so we could have bleakness and irony in the whole show.
We get to Ryder and Waver, and they're in Castor's lair, and Waver's thrown up because he sees a bunch of dead bodies and stuff like that. And Ryder's like, we gotta burn this bitch to the ground, which I respected and I understood. Really, Ryder is the most understandable character in this entire thing. He's the one I relate to the most, and he's the only one I really cared about. And this episode really just went to show how relatable he actually is.
I realized finally why I like Waver and why I like Ryder, because they don't really fit with this philosophy. Their fights actually end with a conclusion, not just postponing stuff. They're generally bright in this completely nihilistic and dark universe.
Waver and Ryder getting screen time and bonding and improving their relationship is pretty nice. And then we've got Assassin doing some more spy shit at the end of the episode. So, yeah, it turns into Assassin's Bizarre Spying Adventure. Fuck. Anyway.
Another pointless relationship between Kaneth and his fiancé. Was that the episode where she breaks his fingers?
Yes.
Very convincing, that relationship. How can you trust or love that person?
Yeah, Solo is being a bitch, and that kind of makes things a bit more interesting.
I don't like Salao as a master any more than I did Kaneth. She's so love-struck by Lancer that it's almost annoying.
Don't laugh about episode 10 because it's the best episode in the entire show.
So there we go. We get a small child growing up to be a pretentious bitch.
This is how it starts.
The episode was completely wasted.
This was circle jerking for the people who watched Fate Stay Night.
A filler fucks up the pacing of a show very hard, so it's automatically bad.
If the plot of the show isn't even that interesting, the plot in this one episode is really interesting because you have a lot of emotion going on in here. You can see a true friendship, not bullshit chivalry. It's a very entertaining episode, and I do think this is the best episode in the entire show.
I don't think this was a worthwhile addition to the series because it's just filler. It does work in a power of friendship sort of way, except that doesn't really work for the rest of the series.
They focused on a secondary character and a character who I think has a lot of potential and a character who could be something in the future. It's just really awesome to see that this little girl is so resourceful and that she's kind of intelligent and that she takes after her father while still being her own person. That's really, really interesting, fun thing to see. Actual character development in this show. You actually got to get inside of a character's head. You got to see what they're like. You got to see them develop. It was just really fun for me, and it was the first episode that I can truly say I genuinely enjoyed.
Episode 11.
Hooray for the King's Speech!
Definitely sheds light on, of course, the three kings and their very different ways in which they approach kingship. And I do like how Saber's beliefs obviously are being challenged. And of course, Gilgamesh just comes off as a fucking dickwad once again, being like, my wine's better than yours, even though you invited me to have this stuff. I'm just gonna poo-poo it because I'm so fancy. In my golden armor, Gilgamesh is a prick.
I want to congratulate them for actually having meaningful discussion eventually after 11 episodes.
Have the kings actually sit down for a proper discussion, which is odd when they're supposed to be killing each other, but I'll accept it as writer's magnetism for now. My only issue with this is that we get 3 mouthpieces. Robichaud thought that Saber's philosophy is flawed. My only issue is that does not change about her. It's not like she's enlightened after this episode. She doesn't have a change of heart. She'll keep doing this for the rest of the prequel and for the sequel.
This episode once again proves that Saber is deliberately left to be bland because she's a main character. Because she's a main character in a shonen series, as much as they try to be a seinen, like all protagonists in such shows are deliberately left blank, boring, decisive, weak, supposed to have enough room for progress and whatever. But we never had any progress because
there's no progress.
Even in the sequel.
No, I disagree. How is she bland? She gets her coloring basically, or
it's wick coloring. It's watercolor.
But actually,
washes up with water.
What it's about.
Dude, watercolors are cool. Don't insult watercolors.
Yeah, even 3-year-olds can use them, just like the writing of the show.
I guess
they can say they failed in this theme. Like they actually touch it and
touching. That's all they're doing, touching. And then somebody jumps and says, "Don't touch the dog, please. Next episode, this doesn't matter anymore."
The very end of the show, it doesn't put you in a good moral place. It's just like, oh, Kiritsugu's wrong. Oh, everybody's wrong.
Everybody's wrong. Nobody won.
Nobody really won.
Obviously.
And of course, we get badassery from Ryder as well at the end. Assassin just gets utterly decimated.
Ryder essentially goes, fuck this, and he summons a whole army of, like, his undead warriors, because that's his secret power somehow, and they just murder all of the assassins, like, in one hit, because Assassin isn't even a character, he's not even a tool, he's just fucking there. He's just some shadow that's there, no personality, no words, nothing, they're just worthless.
Assassinat was absolutely retarded for not killing Waver when it had the chance, considering he could have just killed him and Ryder would have evaporated instead of sacrificing himself for Ryder's ability knowledge.
Assassin dying a useless death. He was a useless character anyway, so I really don't care.
The animation was really off this episode too, and the character designs looked very different, way more pale and such.
For someone who was gathering information the whole season, he sure died like a noob.
Well, it's obvious. It's not good for fighting head-on, but why? Again, why send all of them?
Yeah.
I guess the whole point was like, we've been gathering information about you the whole season. We know your every move. Oh wait, we didn't account for that. Fuck.
And for an assassin who was supposed to be stealthy, it just says, "Here I am, fight me, bitches."
He's so stealthy that when he was spying on Saber and Lancer fighting, he was literally sitting on top of a crane in the middle of it.
And everybody saw him.
Well, they did mention that the crane is
was
the best spot to look at.
Dude, that's so much bullshit.
Camera angle.
Assassin did have a personality, and it was to go in the idea of subservience. Basically, Assassin was the personification of Kirei at a specific time.
Subservience is not a personality, that's a trait at best.
Daniel's trying to say that it served a motif for us, helping them understand Kirei's character at a time where he didn't have a character.
it does make it so the character serves a purpose to the show and a thematic.
Oh yeah, the assassin absolutely served a purpose to the show. There's no questioning that. My problem is more so the waste of the hero role in general. They wasted an entire role of hero of the seven they had.
I decided to check the wiki dot and a couple of the light novel translations. He was a character who was supposed to literally backstab his master, but he never got the chance. Then they said, screw it, guys. No, we don't care.
Would have been nice to see.
Because he had a lot of internal dialogue referring to how he feels empty and his ultimate goal is to one day become whole due to his lack of identity. So again, it also ties back into the motif of Kirei's character has no real knowledge of what to do. He has no idea what he is as a person and doesn't understand why he can't feel certain emotions.
Episode 12.
Kirei is talking how he has an interest in Karya, the guy with the bugs in his body who controls Berserker, and he's like, I'm kind of worried about this guy. I'm a little bit afraid. I don't know what's going on with him. I have a little bit of interest in him. Maybe I can use him. So he starts talking to Archer, and Archer's all like, hey, you know what? All your assassins are dead and everything, but if you still want to be in this Holy Grail war, you can kill another master and get his servant. I wonder who you should do that to. I wonder what servant would be really good and has been talking to you this entire time that looks just like me. Kirei's all like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Maybe I should do the exact thing that you just said. So after talking for a while, they kind of concoct a plan that isn't mentioned, but I mean, you're a fucking idiot if you don't know what's about to happen, and the episode ends. So, I mean, it's more exposition, it's more background shit, it's a bunch of shit that, yes, it matters, but really they could have shown it instead of just using 20 whatever minutes to tell it, but that's what this show likes to do. They like to talk a lot and not show anything.
Episode 13.
Ryunosuke is like, oh no, killing people is a part of God's plan and it's artwork and this is all artwork. Let's go make more art because I'm insane and I need to show that I'm insane by coming up with some bullshit theory. Yes, they all show different aspects of different philosophies and stuff like that, but this just kind of seemed like a shoehorn reason for them to be crazy. It kind of seemed like somebody thought, oh, this could sound really philosophical, so they threw it in there and it came off as bloated and over the top for me, but whatever, I guess that's kind of what these characters are. So Caster decides by the end of it, you know what, let's make the biggest art. Let's go do something crazy. So Ryunosuke is like, now you're talking my crazy language, so they head out. Meanwhile, Waver's like, I don't know if I can be your master, Ryder. I'm such a little bitch. And Ryder's like, you are a little bitch, but you know what? It's okay because everybody's a little bitch sometimes, so just man the fuck up, essentially. And Waver's like, I don't know if I can man the fuck up. Eventually, after enough talking and Ryder encouraging him and basically saying, you know what? You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. Just man up. Let's do this. Waver's like, you're right. I can do whatever I want to do. And so Ryder's like, you know what? I'll lead the charge because I'm a man. Waver, you just stay behind because, you're you. Everybody gets together. The fight's about to begin, and they end the episode without the fight. Halfway through the season, no one important has died, no big fight has happened that got resolved, and nothing has happened. I am done.
Drop the mic.
Caster summons Cthulhu, everyone goes crazy, and we have to wait for season 2 on a big tease.
It is totally a mood killer considering that between the 2 seasons there was a pause of 1 season.
Typical Caster at this point in time because, he's not as good as he was at start, and now we already know him to be shit, and he's like, oh, everything must be big and stupid and crazy, and pew pew, bow bow, explosions, huge monster, tentacles. The kind of entertainment that impresses people who are very easily impressed by superficial stuff.
Don't lie, we all know you like tentacles.
Yeah, but okay, I like tentacles, but even I don't like this one.
In this size.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The one with Sakura was at least, kind of more subtle and perverse. This one is just, come on. Before that, he was humorous. He was letting children go away and then killing them brutally and saying, oh, this is how you have to enjoy it, my friend.
This is how you milk the suffering.
Some people are like, oh, Caster and Ryunosuke just randomly start spouting philosophy because Butcher's just like, fuck it, we need some sort of pretentious shit in here. But actually, I'd argue that that's kind of their way of looking about things from the beginning, especially Caster. Especially with Bluebeard's life story. I don't know, I'm a history nerd, so I did my reading for fun, okay? But fucking Ryunosuke, the whole serial killer thing and how, God's just, along for the ride, and obviously if he didn't like watching catastrophe and bloody murder and sweet, sweet blood-red organs everywhere, he wouldn't let stuff like this happen in the first place, so fuck it, we just gotta let him enjoy himself and do shit, and just going in and being all like, let's burn Caster's shit.
Episodes 14 and 15.
The grand spectacle, the big fucking monster that no one in the whole city can see. It's
just
not like
staring
it's
at it.
higher than the highest building in the whole fucking city, but, the fog.
They covered it up. It was a gas explosion. In the middle of the fucking sea!
Well, you did get, oil in the sea.
Yeah, of course. And those tentacles were like the pipes shaking around from over there.
Oh, don't worry, guys. We're going to keep this a secret from everybody. And then all of this stuff happens. The mass murdering of children. A giant demonic being comes out and startles everyone in the city side. The disappearance of 2 airships that are probably should be tracked and probably been noticed be gone missing. Explosions in the air, etc. There should be a lot of evidence to suggest this. And just the church says, don't worry, guys. We're hiding this evidence. Don't worry.
Ryunosuke gets a headshot through Kiritsugu.
But conveniently, he doesn't snipe anyone else. Even though it's so easy at this point.
It's like the perfect opportunity. It's exactly your shtick. Kill everyone.
And Ryunosuke has this stupid little semi-philosophical thing that he says at the end about his blood being the paint and being inside of him the whole time. And shut the hell up. We've heard that before. We've heard it better. This is stupid. It's like pseudo-philosophy. They're putting it there for the sake of putting it there to make it look deep, and it's not deep. They need to shut the hell up. And then Gilgamesh has some kind of jet, and Berserker takes over a jet, and I get that in Gilgamesh's lore, he had like a Leonardo da Vinci style plane and shit. They get the dumbest powers and they put them in this show, like Lancer's mole that helps him talk to women and convince them to do stuff, which was just a plot device that was meant to show people how sexy he is. Instead of letting them decide for themselves, they were like, hey, look, it's Lancer. Look at how sexy he is. We're going to tell you he's sexy. That's the same thing with this stupid ass freaking airplane that Gilgamesh has that he's using to fight off Berserker. It's just some stupid contrived plot device that they're bringing in to try and make it look cool, and it makes it look stupid. The whole entire fight looks stupid and contrived, and it's over the top.
And the characters don't even come away from their experience with Castor even more enlightened. No character says, what is this war doing to us? Or, wow, I really hate the fact that I was summoned to this world for such a petty reason. It left me so empty. A very good example of why a premise means shit if it doesn't know what to do with it. A plot is supposed to make sure that you're not taken out of the show, that you're inside the show.
Did anyone understand why did Berserker attack Archer specifically?
Berserker is a freaking plot device.
I think that Berserker's master really hates Tokyomi.
He hates the master, so he attacks the heroic spirit, not the master.
Well, hey, I think it's to cut the roots, like Pokemon.
It was just a lazy excuse, so Archer will not one-shot the monster. In fact, he could just destroy the whole city since the first episode, kill anyone and just win the game before they even finish their info dumping. It's not like anyone will notice it. Even Castor's death was anticlimactic. We didn't even see what he was doing in the reality marble or what he was thinking before he died. It's just ult in the head and he's dead.
They were having tea time, guys. It's alright. Tea time.
Archer falls in love with Saber, which, of course, he does. Why wouldn't he? Duh. Everyone with a dick is obsessed with Saber.
Except Riders and Assassin.
We don't know that Assassin has a dick. Assassin doesn't even have a face or a voice.
Episode 16. The only thing Sola was doing since she got the command seals was waiting at the rooftop of a building where she is found immediately and just taken back. That's the only thing she did ever since she got the command seals from Kaneth.
This whole episode is just meant to milk Kaneth's suffering. And Kirei actually saved the Berserker's master, and he's questioning it, and he's trying to realize his nature and the fact that he's a sadist. Was an okay moment. It's just, it zooms in 2 minutes, then it's out, then we go back to Lancer and Saber.
He could just kill him right there and been done with it.
Yeah, but he wants to see him suffer.
What a real man.
Saber and Lancer are about to get into a fight, and it's about to, go down and stuff, but Kiritsugu's like, no, I'm not gonna let that happen.
The Lancer-Saber fight was another cock tease, because we just cut it off again.
He convinces the dude that's now in a wheelchair, get Lancer to kill himself in order to not have Saber have to fight him, because he pretty much counters Saber in every way. So the guy kills himself, which made me very, very happy, because I hate Lancer, and then he's like, oh my god, just don't kill me and, my lady friend, and Kiritsugu's like, I promise I won't kill you and your lady friend. Thank you. Then this girl shoots him from behind, and he's like, see? She's not me. I kept to my promise, didn't I?
They have this contract. It's supposed to be magical and super important.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I wanted to say that.
On reading a fucking contract that means nothing immediately afterwards.
This kind of bullshit is so annoying when you just make a rule up and then you completely break it. Like, let's play chess, but guess what? We're actually playing backgammon. What?
So you have command seals, you only have three, and those are cheat cards. You only get 3 cheats to make them do whatever you want. I don't know what to take seriously because it's like a tug of war between realism and bogus game laws.
Yeah, we have rules, but they mean nothing. We can bend them any way we like, but the church has been so picky about something, they bend themselves.
It really went to showcase Kiritsugu's determination and the way that he's willing to go about things, more so than it showcased anything else in the series. And I appreciated that because it started to give some depth to Kiritsugu.
I do like the attempt of characterization about maybe Saber not being able to trust her master, but at the end of the day, this whole episode proves that it doesn't matter how much you distrust your master. You still have to do whatever he wants, or else he'll command seal you to do something that you really, really don't want to do.
I appreciated that Lancer and his masters died because I didn't care for them anyways, and it irritated me that the Irish guy looked like Zack from Final Fantasy VII. What the
For some reason, the magic of this whole death game is literally picking players who don't want to do the best job that they can do.
It's called having a personality. Every character is defined by one ideal, and that ideal is both his personality as well as his fatal flaw. I don't kill him because of honor. I don't kill him because it's fun to see him suffer. I don't kill him because I'm late for work and I'm a workaholic. That's what they're constantly doing to excuse not doing anything. Uro Butcher is openly telling us that having a character with character is a negative thing. Episode 17.
For the entirety of Fate Zero up until this point, it wasn't succeeding, but it was trying to maintain a kind of every man for themselves. Oh, you could root for Waver. Oh, you could root for whoever you want. But now it's kind of forming a protagonist and an antagonist, and it's becoming more black and white. Now it's just obvious who is the antagonist, who is the protagonist, who you need to root for, especially with the next 2 episodes being flashbacks.
We have some of the most botched attempts to transform Kirei, an emotionless dog, into a psychomaniac. You're not happy because you wanted to kill your father. You, Kirei, a vapidless creation of a character. Well, that's logic. Basically, he's a 0 character and is just given a 1-note character trait that worked in Fate Stay Night because Fate Stay Night's pretty much like a shonen with sex scenes in it. We already knew that he was going to be somewhat villainous since he was already antagonistic before. Here, he could have been anyone, and this is the episode that defines him.
Kirei goes and meets up with Tokiomi, and Tokiomi's like, oh, you know, you're awesome and you're going to be like the next mage guy. He gives the dagger to Kirei, and Kirei's like, oh, cool, thanks for giving me something sharp I can stab you in the back with. He's like, no problem. Wait, what? Gets stabbed in the back. Then Kirei goes over to Archer, and Archer's like, want to be my master? He's like, I totally want to be your master. That stands to the only thing that there is about this guy, that he wants power, which has no reason, bearing, or development to it. He just wants power, which is Disney villain stupid. It's basically Kirei's development from being like, oh, I'm sad about my dad dying. No, wait, I'm happy about my dad dying. Oh, look, I have sort of a surrogate father figure. I'm going to go ahead and kill him now. I'm going to take his position of power. And it doesn't really show much development from why he started doing these things or how it worked in his brain, how it clicked, what in his past made him do this. He just did it apparently for the sake of power, which is very Disney villain-esque to me and not troll.
There was this foreshadowing to him. He was brought up to get power. His whole life was to maintain a sense of power and subservience. We always wanted to be above somebody, and this constant growth and escalation was provoked by Gilgamesh. You want this overwhelming need to be over somebody due to your subservient nature. They don't really do a good job of characterizing Kirei because of just how bland and stock he is.
Am I the only one that thinks Kirei is one of the most boring, worst characters in the entire show? He maintains the expression of somebody watching fucking paint dry the entire time, and even he goes through this change where he's like, oh, I need to experience more of the world, and then when he's finally experiencing it, we don't see anything. He still has that same expression on his face all the time. No, he still talks the same way.
Actually, I want to
He laughs once.
I want to talk a bit about faces. In my opinion, every female character in this show, even the young ones, all have the same fucking face, and it's really bugging me.
More of Ufotable being the most like
hair
indulgent
and hairstyle
tropes.
a bit. I had problems recognizing one character from another, and there were many characters, and I'm like, oh, which one is this one? I forgot.
If Shaft is shafting all the time, Ufotable is Ufotabling, so this is an example of a studio repeating itself. You know, it's like KyoAni, repeating the same Moe faces all over again. Most studios have this problem, they don't have facial variety. Episodes 18 and 19.
Okay, so basically this starts off years ago when Kiritsugu was young and he had life in his eyes and he was joyous and he looked like a young little shonen character and he was living with his dad in a village and he got to know this kind of, I guess, village girl that was out there and I guess they were doing really good work and they were bringing plants to life and it was amazing and his dad seemed to be using some kind of mix between science and alchemy and it was great and everything was going fantastic until his dad started making zombies.
The wiki calls them vampires.
okay, they're zombies. The village starts to rise up, and the little girl that he was friends with rises up too, and everybody's a zombie now because she did something she shouldn't have done, essentially. The agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. come in, and they're like, we gotta stop these zombies. So by the end of this whole entire clusterfuck, which is basically just showing how Kritsugu became Kritsugu, he finally confronts his dad, and his dad's like, oh, we're gonna get out of here, son. He's like, no, you're gonna get out of here. He's like, what do you mean? I mean this mortal coil. You're getting out of here. Boom, kills his dad without a second thought, and the girl who went to help him, one of the girls from one of the agencies, was this white-haired lady, and she was like, wow, you kill really good. You want to help me kill shit? He was like, you know I do, and that was it. If this were 26 episodes of something like that where a character got developed, it would have been fine. But what happened is they chose one character and they gave him 2 full episodes of background story. They didn't do this for any other character, and it was kind of maddening to have to go through these flashbacks when all this other crap is happening in the main storyline just to understand how Kritsugu got there when we're never going to understand how anybody else got there. Why is he special? This series is supposed to quote-unquote have no main character. Why is he special? Why does he get 2 full episodes? Even if they gave him 1 episode, I would understand. If they gave him an episode and they gave Kirei an episode, I would understand because it would make sense for the final battle, but they didn't do that. They just gave it to Kritsugu, and it was really infuriating, and if it were its own secluded series, I could understand that, but it wasn't. It was interjected awkwardly, and it pissed me the hell off.
I felt those 2 episodes were rushed and very forced in drama. The perfect island. Heaven on earth. Everybody's happy. Yay. 5 minutes later, zombie apocalypse. Out of fucking nowhere because drama. And we have to finish everything in 20 minutes. Yeah, get on with it. Now you can say they didn't spend any time on Slice of Life because that's not what the show is about, but it was so fast and so sudden that I personally didn't like it. If you want to do something like that, spend more time on it, because if these 2 episodes were supposed to make us care about the so-called protagonist and his drama, it was too sudden, too fast, and too forced. And the same thing happened in the second episode where they make all this fuss about zombies on the plane. It's like, what is this? Resident Evil out of nowhere? And in the end, yeah, I might as well kill everyone because this way there are not going to be any witnesses.
He's gone with Natalia, she's training him, teaching him to do everything, and apparently there's some sort of magic, like anti-magic magic within him, so she makes bullets out of his ribs. So after, basically in order to penetrate magic, which is why he has the bullets and later on, anyways, basically he has magic bullets made out of his ribs. Years later, she goes on the plane, and basically there's a guy that has like bees that turn people into zombies essentially on this plane, and she's trying to stop the guy. She fights her way to the cockpit, the plane's going down, she can't fly it, nothing's going right, like everything's screwed up, everybody's gonna die on the plane anyways that isn't already dead, most of the people are already dead. So Kritsugu has a decision to make, and by the end of it, they both know what he's gonna do. Tagging the plane, bringing it down, killing her, and at the end, probably the most well emotionally done moment in the show, and then it showed the breakdown afterwards, and it kind of showed what made him into who he was. And if they had done this for all the other masters, if they had given them each 1 episode like this, where it showed why they became who they were, just 1 build-up and breakdown, I would have been much happier with this series because it would have given them development, it would have given them reason, it would have given them motivation, but nobody else had that. But I'm glad that at least Kritsugu did, because it worked well in this episode for me. Since he was 13, he grew up around an assassin. Later on, that some of the things that he had done were wrong, but he knew that he was doing it for the greater good. So, I mean, that's something she instilled in him, that killing these people were all for the greater good. So he knew how to kill because he snapped when he was a kid, and he killed for his father. Then he was praised for killing. Then this girl said, hey, it's a good thing you killed him because it was for the greater good. And she taught him to kill for the greater good, which stuck with him until adulthood.
Just blow up the whole city in the first episode by using Archer. Same logic. Did anyone even think about this? He could just kill Tokiomi, immediately steal his heroic spirit, blow up the whole city, and then wish for, I don't know, war and strife to end. All in 5 minutes. Again, this is so random, so forced, and so whatever bullshit writing you can think of. And because it has all this terminology supposed to trick you into thinking, oh yeah, they try to explain everything. They explain shit!
The characterization in the show is so bare bones and bland that these moments of attention of emotional development and actual scenes of emotional turmoil don't work because the characters are so basic and bland that you don't feel invested. We get this radical transformation of this one character in just 2 episodes, and it feels so awkward in its execution because of how it frames him as this happy-go-lucky guy, yay! And then depression.
This was so done online level of writing. Something happens, time skip. Something happens, time skip. And stuff happening in between. But we're not gonna show you because who cares about character development? Take shock effect moments instead!
Because of the constant death and destruction he has left in his wake. He has only known this path. He ostensibly sacrificed his pure happiness. And the fact that he's married and has a wife and kid, seems weird. It could be possible that he did this to maybe maximize his efforts because of the fact that Ulysses is a homunculi and has a massive mana pool.
I know, but if that's the case, then he's just a masochist.
You don't know how he managed to change so drastically into this. It feels tonally awkward in some cases. The pacing of Fate Zero actively hurts this event even more. Because of how static and how utterly monotonous the exposition in the first half is, the second half has to go into so much speed and utter frenetic pacing that to try and get everything in, that it barely has time to even give proper character arcs, introduction, or even conclusions. This is the part where the show tried to emotionally invest you in a character who, for the most part, has had no definitive personality.
And they did it on episodes 18 and 19 of the series.
There's 5 episodes left.
Why the hell are you trying now?
And there's still 4 masters left at this point.
By the end of the show, it becomes pretty apparent that the whole show, instead of it wanting to be like this multifaceted ideology war, it's basically trying to reduce Kirei and Kiritsugu to, I'm good and I'm anti-good. Anything you do, I will oppose. Matrix-style Neo versus Agent Smith. That's what they're basically trying to turn the show into. I mean, it makes sense. Before we had Kirei's defining episode, and now we have botched flashback episodes because they can't naturally introduce character traits into a show with plot.
Episode 20.
Waver and Ryder had this nice moment where Ryder needed to basically recharge his mana, and they had a talk about what makes a king, and that was kind of a cool little moment between the two. It was one of the most humanizing moments in the show of, 5 humanizing moments.
These are characters who are the most relatable and the most human. We understand where they're coming from. We understand their development and their backstory. We get what they are supposed to be. And that's what makes this moment interesting, because it finally sort of sentimizes and adds a layer of depth to these characters.
This is the episode where Maya dies, and I felt like her death lacked a lot of depth, and she had no development whatsoever in the series, so it felt like a hollow, bland death.
They tried to emotionally make out her death. Of all of the characters, Maya was the most inconsequential addition to the cast. Maya serves no purpose.
That's not true.
Oh, yeah, sure.
When Kiritsugu was like, here, sign this contract and I won't kill you, he was like, sweet, you won't kill me. He's like, that's right, I won't kill you. She shot him.
Kiritsugu could have hired somebody to do that job for her. As a character and as an actual thematic aspect to the show, she is utterly vapid and has no purpose to be in it.
I think it would have been awesome if Irisville ended up being the one that did it. Because it would have been so out of character. Like, whoa, what the fuck just happened?
I would have laughed.
Right?
Episode 21.
And so we have a battle with Ryder, Saber, totally pointless, don't care about it, da-da-da-da-da.
That battle was pointless. It happened because Berserker abducted Irisfield while disguised as Ryder. So Saber attacked Ryder because she thinks he did it. And that amounts to nothing because nobody died in that battle. They could have simply wished Berserker to be invisible, and the result would be the same.
This is basically Karya suffers the episode. Everything that goes wrong with Karya does. He loses his chance to kill Tokiomi, accidentally kills the person he loves, goes insane, and Kirei and Archer watch and laugh in the background.
The reveal of Tokiomi's death to him and the fact that the girl just suddenly appeared behind him, okay, that was convenient. How did you plan this, and how did you time it so that the character would get here on time? I understand this is a scene that was completely necessary. They needed to do this. It is not a scene I will demerit. It is a scene, though, I victimize simply because, oh, here's a character I'm supposed to give a shit. This emotional moment is so contrived and convenient that any emotional investment you have with it is gone.
Where Aoi was screaming, "You'll never be loved!" And this is Urabuchi. This is so Urabuchi.
Well,
characters having many quirks to them that don't actually end up being legitimate character traits, and ultimately framing for decent action scenes, but ultimately vapid in presentation.
Karya is a character that we have not talked about at all, and the reason for that is because they completely dropped the ball on this character. He finds out that her daughter's basically infested with with one kind of slug-type cockroach insect that's kind of leeching off of her and giving her magic power and kind of corrupting her. Oh, this slug leech thing is the first thing to taste her purity, which I don't even want to fucking know. So he decides, fuck that, I'm going to go save her, and he's going to be taking her place, essentially. That was his whole point in this Holy Grail War, and save the day, basically, for the girl they love. In the first episode, he had the most development. He had the most reason to be there. He had something. He had motivation. He had to be interested. And they've completely fucked it up until this very point where they started to bring him back. And I was like, yeah, this might turn into something. Spoiler alert, it fucking doesn't.
The problem with his character is ultimately they forget him for like the longest time. Even though he has the third most powerful servant in the game, we're just going to play with his character development in the last like 2 minutes. So much exposition and so much talking just happens in the first season that it never properly grasps at the characters, and the second season tries to rectify this but does a worse job because of its lack of time frame.
Episodes 22 and 23.
Kira is interrogating Erisvale about what's going on with Kiritsugu, and he's basically like, we're the same, Kiritsugu and I, and she's like, no, you're not. He basically kills Erisvale. She's like the embodiment of the Grail or something, whatever. Waver's like, you know what, Ryder, I can't really do much for you because I'm a piece of shit, so instead I'm going to use all my command spells to make sure that you win by telling you to win, which doesn't work. Surprise fucking surprise.
Such an anticlimactic end for Ryder and Waver's natural character progression through this show.
Saber's attacked by Berserker, and he has guns because fucking why not? And she destroys Berserker's guns some fucking how. Eventually we find out that it's Lancelot. It pisses me off that the guy whose name is Lance-a-lot is the Berserker and not the Lancer. It fucking irritates me. His name's Lance-a-lot. He lances more than average, which is a lot.
It's just kind of a shame that we don't get to see her actually defeat him. Her character is just bogged down just to being like, oh, I must be saved by everyone else. And at the time that I'm actually about to kill someone, they don't actually show it.
The whole time, she can't fight by herself. Ever, ever, ever. The one time she finally does, the one time she gets to kill somebody by herself, they don't even show it on screen. Fantastic. Great job.
She didn't even defeat him herself, you know. Berserker ran out of power because Karya died. And turns out, Berserker was in the show just as an excuse to flesh out Saber. Unlike the other masters and spirits, he didn't have an ideology of his own.
But we have to like Saber at some point.
The fuck I do. I don't have to do a goddamn thing, trust me.
Anyways, this happens too late in the story to mean anything, and it won't matter in Fate's Stay Night, so who cares? Plus, Karya gets the most anticlimactic death in the show and becomes another throwaway character. Great writing! Trollolol. And with that, episode 24.
Kiritsugu and Kira are finally fighting with all their skills, and Kiritsugu is using all of his, I'm going to call them Eve bullets, because much like Adam, they were taken from his ribs, so they're Eve bullets. So basically, he's using his Eve bullets to try and kill Kira, and Kira is using his Wolverine claws and his, like, unlimited amount of command spells. Even though they're not unlimited, it's more than pretty much everybody else combined. He has, like, 14 or some shit. So he uses them on his own body, I think? It didn't make any damn sense to me. I guess that's how the command spells work. I guess you can just use them on what the fuck ever. I would have used them on a meteor to kill fucking everybody, but whatever.
You established in, like, the first episodes that command spells are used on servants. How the fuck can you use it on yourself? How loose are the rules in this game?
And Gilgamesh wasn't getting any stronger. He didn't need to get stronger. He had Ryder chained up like he was 50 Shades of fucking Ryder. He didn't need to get stronger. He was fine. So he used the command spells on himself with his Wolverine claws, and Kiritsugu's like, bullet time, bitch, and gets all crazy bullet time and starts trying to shoot him. And he realizes that, I guess, the Grail is corrupt, and so he decides to go against the Grail and not make a wish.
Basically, episode 24 is the troll episode where, without any lick of foreshadowing at all, we realize that the Grail will naturally twist human desires to be even more twisted, kind of like how genies behave. Like, you wish for a lamp, your grandma dies, and you inherit the lamp. That kind of bullshit. I did like Kiritsugu's realization that his logic was bullshit, but I didn't like how the Grail was spoon-feeding it to him. Like, you take away all the bad people, more bad people will come. Isn't that such a revelation? It was pure comic. I feel like people are only praising the show at this point because they can't fathom the bullshit that is just happening before their eyes.
They don't see the convolution. They don't see all the liberties that they took with their own rules or lack of rules to make the story fit. That's what they did. They made the story. Instead of building a story around the rules, around the world, they built the world and rules around the story and twisted it where it needed to be to make that story work.
And episode 25, the finale.
See, there's a Grail right there. I could totally use it. Fuck that Grail. Saber, I command you to destroy the Grail. She's like, wait, but I don't want... He's like, command? She's like, no, but wait. He's like, command. She's like, no, but wait. He's like, command a third time. She's like, fuck, I have no choice.
So much for free will.
She was a tool. She was a weapon. That was it. So basically, she uses her big fucking Evangelion cross bullshit to fucking destroy the Grail and fuck up everything, and then it starts a huge fire, and it fucks up like the entire city.
Don't worry, nobody will notice it.
And everything's all gone to shit, and Gilgamesh is naked because, of course, Gilgamesh is naked.
Man service.
And Kira survives survives because fucking reasons.
Because the sequel said so.
And then fucking Kiritsugu survives and he's freaking the fuck out and he's like, oh my god, I just caused more death. I suck as a human being in general. And Saber basically said that at the end. She was like, you know, for lack of a better term, you asshole, as she died. So she died and fucking Gilgamesh and Kirei and Kiritsugu are the only ones left. So Kiritsugu is searching through the rubble trying to save somebody. He finds some little redhead kid who you think is going to be awesome, but then never get to that again. It was all for naught. Everything was for naught, and the Grail is going to recharge again in 10 years, and we're going to have to go through the same bullshit again. Yay!
This is one of those rare prequels that makes the original story seem even shittier than it needs to be. Mature storytelling bullshit. The whole theme is so juvenile, and the last episode makes you realize it all completely.
It tried to be really dark and gritty and really mature, but it failed in mostly every aspect. The pacing was horrible. Just seeing different perspectives of these characters. They didn't ration out the time for each character. A lot of the characters lacked a lot of humanity and a lot of relatability throughout the whole entire series. The artwork looked fine, looked really good, but the animation, they only utilized it well when there's a fight scene. Everything else was just bobbing heads. The exposition was handled poorly, and by the end of the series, I've lost a lot of interest. The survival game rules of this whole entire game was really loose to the point where I thought Mirai Nikki had better concrete survival game rules than this show, and as a whole, I just think that Fate Zero is just a Michael Bay film.
If you want to see a show with a bunch of characters that get some development and you have a lot of action in it, go watch Baccano. If you want to watch a show that has a lot of religious undertones, go watch Evangelion. If you want to watch a show that has some sort of battle game involved, go watch Hunger Games or Battle Royale. If you want to watch something that looks beautiful, watch 5 centimeters per second. There is a better thing in every single aspect of what this does. Everything this does so well, something else does better, and when they tried to pull it all together, it didn't work, and at the end of the series, it was all for nothing anyway, so it made me feel like I wasted 25 episodes of just sitting there and watching something that was gonna result in absolutely nothing by the end of it. It failed in every single aspect for me, and I think it is one of the most overrated anime in history. It will entertain you, but it's not as good as everybody says it is, and don't expect it to be as good as everybody says it is.
Despite what you guys have said, I love Fate Zero. It does have major flaws, but despite that, I rather enjoyed the show. I watched seeing the interactions with the characters, and I thought at least some of what they were saying was interesting. Again, though, it's flawed, but I love it personally.
Fate Zero does fail in its grand themes, but it's shackled to the source material, and being a prequel and having to set up for Fate Stay Night, which is crap, it really does bring down the show with a nihilistic view that isn't really achieved in a sort of satisfying way. The ending makes the entire journey feel for naught. On an episode-by-episode basis, the show is entertaining. Although there is a crap load of exposition, some of it is actually quite engrossing. Some of the dialogue is very engrossing. The action scenes are generally very well choreographed, but it all feels like a cock tease to something that never really materialized into something better.
It has really good animation, character design really done well. It has good music. It has a good set of characters. The contrast between characters stands out and how they do stuff. Interesting dialogue here and there, but there is the part with the kings talking and how they develop. The themes it does are really good. The negative aspects of the show are, again, it kind of relies on its source material. It kind of implies that you have to know stuff about Fate Stay Night, which didn't exist at that point, and we don't know how it will end up, the current one. Therefore, the ending is really, really lacking in everything. If you care for these characters, this is a good show, this is a great show.
It's definitely better than a lot of the stuff that came out in the same season, but it does not deserve the hype that it got. It is not a masterpiece, it is not a great show, it is just above average.
This show kind of relies on creating really strong feelings by the use of, over-exaggerating stuff. It just can't handle subtlety properly or isn't aimed at people who can appreciate subtlety. It uses stuff like huge cheesy monsters and mountains of young kids, corpses, and that kind of stuff. Over-exaggerated and completely unsubtle.
If you throw in a lot of text scroll and somewhat detailing sort of the vaguest hints of character development and have a very decent presentation, a lot of people are willing to overlook sort of the vapidness of characterization and the hollow-esque nature and the fact the show never goes anywhere by simply saying it has all of these interesting things. The way I always looked at Fate Zero, and I constantly look at it even to this day, was it's a concept. But that's all it is, just a concept of ideas that just never really got going.
Fate Zero is my shit, okay? I'm not saying it's a perfect anime. The self-Gia scroll, there's some holes and whatnot, but I think that the characters more than make up for it. A lot of them say that they're one-dimensional, which, to be fair, they kind of are, but I feel that their strong personalities more than make up for it. It's a very interesting dynamic. There's interactions between everyone. I feel like they're very well done. The animation, of course, is fucking amazing. Soundtrack, of course, is fucking amazing. Kiritsugu is the best character. I think Waver gets the most development, though, but that's debatable. And the story, I feel like, yeah, the pacing, it could have been a little better proportion, but as a whole, I felt that it was very good. Fate Zero is my favorite anime. Suck my cock.